Hello viewers, this is Dr. Qamar Cheema, and today I have a special guest with me. I am in Pokhara, Nepal on a wonderful conference that is about federalism in Asia, which is being sponsored by the Hans Seidel Foundation. And I have wonderful panel and wonderful guests with me today. This morning in Pokhara, Nepal, I have with me Dr. Stefan. He is a Deputy Chief of Mission of Embassy of Nepal in Embassy of Germany in Nepal, and I have with me Dr. Stefan. He is head of the HSF in Pakistan, and I have with me Mr. Full Kaplan, who is the head of HSF in India. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for sparing your time for my YouTube channel. Thank you very much. So, Dr. Stefan, as I know you have to leave, you're in a hurry. So, can you explain that how has been your experience in Pokhara while meeting delegates from across Asia who have been speaking about federalism in Asia? And since Germany has a lot of contribution for promoting democracy, for promoting federalism around the world, and a lot of contribution for promoting soft power. So how do you see this conference being sponsored by the HSF?
Well, thank you very much. I have to say this conference being here today in Pokhara was absolutely great. It was a great experience to discuss federalism with all the experts from South Asia. So a big thank you to my colleagues from the Hans Seidel Stiftung and Seidel Foundation India and Pakistan for gathering all these high-profile guests. Not visual, not in 2D, but actually 3D here live. I personally learned a lot. I had a great experience learning about not only Nepal's federalism, where we had like an in-depth dive, but also learning from other countries, what is their experience, what is their history about it. So when I go home, this gave me a lot of food to think. It will take a while to digest, and I hope that one day you will be back here in Nepal, and then we will continue, because what we have, we've seen this beautiful Feva Lake and these beautiful, we call this hills, but we are still missing is the stunning view of the Himalayas, which should be in front of us right now. So there's room for improvements. Exactly this. Otherwise, it was a great experience.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a really pleasure to see you for the 2 days. So any message you want to give to the young students, obviously, who really look forward to this dialogue of federalism, democracy? Any thoughts you want, or any message you want to give to the youth in Nepal, Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka?
Yeah, well, dear youth, dear young students of democracy, especially in Nepal, be proud of your young constitution, be proud of your great constitution when it comes to federalism. If you want to change the country, if you want to turn Nepal into an even better place, contact your local mayors, contact your provincial administration or the federal level, and engage them in the discussion about the future, about the topics that really move you, be it environment, be it about plastic waste, the future of the education. Just go there. You are the future of Nepal, and you should take it into your own hands.
No, thank you very much, Dr. Stefan, for your time and for speaking to us. Thank you very much. Dr. Stefan, you had HSF Pakistan, and you brought a delegation here where I am also the part of the delegation. So how has been your experience of promoting federalism, not just here, but back home? You have done a lot of work bringing all the university students together and making them understand the concept of the federalism. So please share your experience as the head of the HSF Hans Seidel Foundation in Pakistan, and how has been your experience here?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your great YouTube show. My experience so far, what I learned most when attending these workshops and courses on federalism is how extremely diverse federalist structures can be. So there's not simply one true model of federalism, so to say. There is actually a lot of variety in terms of how you decentralize best, and it all depends on the context in which you live and work, and the specific country where you're from. So this is my biggest experience, and I've also learned that I'm living in Pakistan, and Pakistan, as per its constitution, is actually the most federal country in all of Asia so far, or at least in all of South and Southeast Asia. And that was very impressive. This I didn't know. I knew that Pakistan has a lot of distribution of powers as per its constitution, but I did not know that Pakistan is actually by far the leading nation in terms of constitutional structures of federalism.
Okay, so Dr. Stefan, one further question from you is that how is this idea to bring people from academics, scholars, bringing from India and Pakistan together and asking them to sit on table and have a dialogue, and particularly in this post-COVID world?
Yeah, that's very exciting. Now, I mean, the COVID times were very difficult for all of us, and all events were online and 2D, as Dr. Stefan said. Now it's very, very good and pleasant to meet people face to face again, and to like interact on a more personal level, to have all these little side discussions, and that is very, very fruitful and helpful for our work. And I mean, I'm very pleased to be here. It's such a beautiful country, and I'm very happy that Pakistan had so much interest in attending this great event. We actually brought 4 delegates from Pakistan. Also, the other countries, there are delegates from Sri Lanka, of course. There is a lecturer from Australia. There are people from Germany, India, needless to say. And Pakistan is here represented. So that was really nice to have people come together and exchange mutual experiences.
Okay, let me bring forward Mr. Fulka Plain, who's the head of the Hens Idol Foundation India, and is doing a wonderful job in organizing all that event for this conference where we are sitting here in Pokhara in Nepal. First of all, thank you very much, Mr. Fulka, for organizing, arranging, and bringing both of you, for all of us together here. So how has your been experience of this promoting federalism in India? I really want to know first, and then I will talk about this conference.
Thank you, Dr. Cheema. I think this is a really great opportunity, and we've been planning this conference for more than 2 years now. So I'm really happy that it has not only happened, but it has also worked out in the way that we had hoped, bringing Nepalis, Indians, Pakistanis, people from Sri Lanka, Australia together to talk about this topic, which is probably more exciting than I would have thought. And in India, we have been working on federalism already since more than 10 years. And just like Pakistan, India is an established federation, but that means also that there may be fresh and new developments that we can see here in Nepal, for example, in Nepal's constitution, which may also be not a blueprint, but which might give fresh ideas to federalism in India.
Well, Dr. Stefan, India is the largest democracy, and there is a festival of democracy there. We understand, and people celebrate and participate in that. So, how the youth in India is working with you, or how you have been promoting these ideas of federalism, democracy in India, and what is the response of the youth in India while everybody is the part of the democratic structure there? So, how do you see the youth and their participation in democracy and federalism, particularly this youth, because you engage with the universities and all these people?
That's true, and I think that's a very good question. Hans Seidel Foundation also has a project in India on youth for governance, where we try to promote democracy and the interest in politics in young people. But it is not always easy, because if you hear from all around that India is the biggest democracy in the world, you kind of take it for granted, but you can never take something like democracy for granted. It's something that has to be defended, it's something that must be actively used, and we try to instill this thought also in the young people to make use of their active and passive political rights.
So at the end of the day, I want to ask you one final last question, that how do you find this conference, Federalism in Asia in Pokhara, where you have heard delegates from across Asia, particularly from Pakistan, from Australia, from Sri Lanka? How has been your experience of this conference, and particularly bringing to all of these people into this scenic valley where we can find the beautiful mountains, people are flying, and there's a lot of tourism here, and we have seen a lot of positivity and energy. So other than that, how has been your academic and intellectual experience here in this conference?
Well, the valley is just so that people actually turn up and come here. But yeah, I don't even think that the time is enough to describe all of this. So just like we had expected, there's lots of cross-learning between delegates from Pakistan and from India, from Nepal. This is already a great achievement, and I'm always stunned at how much they are fascinated by each other. So often they are not really aware of certain political structures, of sensitivities, and this is a great opportunity to exchange on this. And I myself am not an expert on federalism, but I have learned in this conference already more than I have learned in the past 8 years working on federalism, not just about Nepal, about Pakistan as well, India, and these other fascinating cases. Like we have young cases, unfortunately, Myanmar cannot be here today, but Sri Lanka, for example, where federalism, for example, can be maybe a means of preventing secession, a means of bringing about peace. It's a means of, I also learned that economic prosperity correlates with federalism. So it's so fascinating, and I would encourage everyone who's slightly interested in political science to actually start looking for studying political science, studying federalism studies, studying international relations. I think it's much more fascinating than we would have thought.
Viewers, you all know that as we have had a conversation with all these three wonderful guests of mine, Dr. Stephen, and Mr. Fulkaplain, and we are talking that Pakistan is a fledgling democracy, India is the largest democracy, Sri Lanka also has a democratic setup where the people exercise their right as well. Even the other countries in the region, we are all giving the people the right to speak, and people are enjoying and celebrating democracy and federalism. So at the end of this talk, I would like to thank you, HSF Pakistan, HSF India, and Dr. Stephen, for you for sparing your time and bringing all these people together, and for injecting and helping us to further understand each other and further know each other and share our ideas or thoughts. Thank you very much.